At the edge of the small village of Kirkwood, a peaceful morning unfolded as the first rays of sunlight gently filtered through the lush green leaves, painting a delicate thread of light across the winding path. Clara Mitchell, in her small, weathered kitchen, was brewing mint tea when she heard a faint scratching sound at the door, floating in from the misty morning. Her heart skipped a beat. Clara set the cup down, stepped onto the porch, and there before her, under the soft light, was a sight that stole all words away. A full-grown lioness stood there, not roaring, not baring her claws, but quietly placing a tiny living being down before retreating. The small lion cub trembled with each breath, one front paw injured severely, wheezing like a fading breeze. The mother lion sat a few meters away, her gaze fixed firmly on her cub, filled with a fragile and desperate hope. Clara did not hesitate. She called her husband, then immediately contacted the Gqeberha Wildlife Rescue Center. Knowing that every second now hung between life and death, she grabbed a towel, knelt down, gently slipped it under the fragile body, fanning it lightly with trembling hands, trying to hold on to those thin breaths. The lioness's eyes carried no threat, only a silent plea, a heavy entrusting, and in that moment, a memory from long ago surged back. Clara whispered, "I know who you are, you still remember me, don't you, Naira?" The lioness lowered her head slightly, a small gesture that made Clara's throat tighten. She cleaned the muddy wounds around the cub's leg, trying to stem the bleeding with a warm, damp cloth. The wound was deep and the blood continued to seep. Clara bandaged it temporarily, placing a small pillow under the cub's belly to ease the pressure. Naira stood up, took a step closer, just enough for Clara to hear the strained breaths. "Let me help your child, I promise," Clara whispered. When the rescue team arrived, they quickly administered first aid and transferred the cub into the vehicle. Naira followed for a few steps, then stopped at the wooden fence, her gaze full of unspoken emotions. A rescue worker whispered, "I have never seen a lion behave like this, it's as if she's begging us." Clara stood silent, her heart clenching tightly. She knew this was not just a rescue, it was the rebirth of a memory, the reconnection of a bond that had never truly broken. 3 long days and nights passed. Clara never left her porch, her eyes always watching Naira, the silent guardian outside the fence. Through misty rain, through chilling winds, through the biting cold that seeped through layers of cloth, Naira remained still. Every night, Clara brought clean water, a bit of food, placing them near the fence, but Naira only occasionally lowered her head to drink, then returned to her unwavering gaze, locked onto the small house with the faint glow of light. The villagers of Kirkwood, at first wary, gradually gathered. The adults brought food, the children drew clumsy pictures of lions on the ground. The whole village silently joined the sacred waiting as if it were an unspoken ritual. Every night, Clara placed an old wooden chair by the fence, sitting with Naira, quietly sharing loneliness and hope. She whispered stories of the past to Naira, about the days they fought together at Addo, about the pain, about the miracles. One rainy night, Clara wrapped herself in a thin cloak, carrying a small woolen blanket. She placed it near where Naira sat, and softly said, "For you and your child." Naira did not take her eyes off Clara, her gaze as deep as the vast ocean, as if understanding, as if saying thank you. On the morning of the 4th day, the rescue vehicle slowly returned to the village. The veterinarian smiled. The lion cub had survived the critical phase. Clara asked to bring the child out to the lawn in front of her porch, where the gentle sunlight danced on the tender grass. She laid the cub down and stepped back, giving way to the miracle. The cub staggered, lifting its head, its frail legs trembling as it tried to move forward. A soft cry escaped, and Naira rushed forward like a silent wind. She licked her child's forehead, nudged its back, wrapping it in a vast, wordless embrace of wild maternal love. Clara stood on the porch, clutching her chest, tears streaming uncontrollably. The villagers silently cried, some clasped hands together, as if witnessing a sacred moment that would never fade. Naira lifted her gaze toward Clara, eyes no longer sad, but radiant with gratitude. No roaring, no farewell, only a silent exchange between two worlds. Then Naira turned, leading her child into the misty vale at the end of the village. Clara stood there for a long time, until the first gentle breezes of the morning stirred the soft grass beneath her feet. The story of the miraculous reunion quickly spread across South Africa. The scientific community was stunned. a research group from the University of Cape Town confirmed, Naira was the first living evidence of emotional memory in wild lions. Clara was invited onto television. Her story made the entire audience silent. Many wept openly. BBC Africa came to Kirkwood, documenting the strange journey of a woman and a lion, two souls bound by compassion. At Kirkwood School, a large mural was painted, Naira and her cub under the words, "Remember and trust." The children wrote letters to Naira, knowing she could never read them, but sending them anyway, messages from grateful hearts. Clara planted a wildflower garden where Naira had once waited. She called it the waiting corner. Every morning, she brewed her mint tea, sitting by the window, quietly looking toward the distant forest. And then, one misty morning, Clara saw them, two wet paw prints on the path, one large, one small. She clutched her chest, overwhelmed with emotion. No one saw Naira return, no camera captured it, but Clara knew. From then on, once a month, at the first light of dawn, the paw prints reappeared, gently, silently, like a whispered promise from the deep forest. I still remember, I still trust. Clara quietly recorded each time, like writing a silent symphony between two worlds, and the world kept spinning, but in a small corner of Africa, beneath the misty trees, love, memory, and trust quietly beat in unison, where a woman and a lioness had never forgotten their vow.